Hello, everyone. Stacy Ellis here. I wanted to get on here and talk a little bit about my mission trip that I went on. So I stated in my previous videos that I was going on a mission trip to Ecuador, and I went and I came back, and I absolutely loved it. And I just wanted to give you guys just, I guess, a summary of my trip. In case any of you have ever thought about going on a mission trip, ever considered going on a mission trip, and you're wondering what it's like, is it something worth doing or not? So I will say I apologize if I sound a little raspy. That's one thing that did happen. I got a cold when I was there. I'm at the end of it now, but I was afraid that it was COVID, but I tested negative, and I had COVID before. It wasn't nearly as bad as COVID. I just had like a runny nose, and it wasn't like a constant run. And then I had the cough, no fever or, anything like that. So just a basic cold. But I say that in case I do start coughing, or if you are like, Stacy, you sound weird. That's why. So, let me tell you a little bit about the mission trip, who I went with, what organization. I went with my church. My church is called Destiny Church in Fort Worth, Texas. And I actually, they did it in partnership with an organization called Reaching and Teaching. Now, if you live in America, we actually have access to a lot of seminaries. We have access to a lot of biblical teaching. If you are wanting to become a pastor, it's very common to go to Bible school, to go to seminary, in order to have a firm foundation and to learn about the Bible. However, in many other countries, that is not the case. And in Ecuador, that is exactly what we have there. There is one seminary in Guayaquil, but from my understanding, it's not necessarily at the same level as the seminaries that are in the States. And so what Reaching and Teaching does is it provides a way to help disciple up these pastors in these different countries, so that way they have the skills and tools that they need in order to help their church grow in Christ. And so that's who I was working with. Now, in general, what we were doing, Reaching and Teaching provides the participants of their program with modules that they will study on their own. There's some readings that they have to read and some homework that they have to do between modules. And the modules are twice a year. So they have one module in the summer, and then, or I guess for them, because their seasons are opposite from us. So I guess it wasn't the summer, it was, I guess, winter for them. I don't know. The southern hemisphere, like, their seasons are opposite. So I guess it was winter, and then this was spring for them. This past, I don't know. I'm so confused. Twice a year, they have the modules, and it is a series. I believe it's 9 modules total. And so we were at module 4, I believe it was 4. I say 4. The reason why I'm confused is because their module number and the module number that we had on our paper were different. One said 3 and one said 4. So I think it's 4. I think they were on 4. And so they'll have another module this coming winter, and then, so on and so forth. So this is to allow them to study and learn, and get a seminary teaching, even though they are not able to really go to seminary. Now there are some people while we were there that actually they are taking classes in the States. They have online degree programs that they're going through, which is awesome. But that is not something that everyone is able to do financially. And so Reaching and Teaching provides an opportunity to teach these pastors, the things and tools that they need to be pastors. So as a woman, my role was not to teach the pastors, but to work with the pastors' wives. And so they had every evening would be the classes. And so we had like a spiritual disciplines class, and then we had a doctrine class. And then they split it up to where the pastors would go and they'll have a pastoral teaching. And then the women would go and we would pretty much continue with the doctrine, but we would have it in a discussion form. And so that is what I was doing. I was working with the women. We were having discussion, making sure they understood the content, asking questions, providing scenarios so they are able to apply what they learned. Also, we did vacation Bible school for the children a few days during the week, during the day. So the schools in Ecuador, their schools times are different. They have some kids that go in the morning, some that go in the afternoon, and some that go in the evening. So they just rotate it depending on their age. And so the kids that we were expecting at the VBS, they were out of school by the time we had the VBS. So it worked out for them. And so the other lady that I was with actually was the one that led the VBS, and I was just there to help her. We also had an opportunity to share our testimony to some high school students. So they had they call it a cell group, but it's pretty much like a small group within the neighborhood. And they invite the teenagers to come every week to fellowship. And so we came this particular week and shared our testimony. And I had the opportunity to share the gospel with them and lead some of the teens to Christ. That was very cool. I definitely noticed God's work in that. It wasn't my doing at all. Yes, I was a vessel that God used, but I know that God was preparing their hearts and was tugging at their hearts. I don't think that my testimony is anything special. I was saved at a young age. I was brought up in the church. I did fall away a little in middle school, as many preteens and teenagers do because they're trying to be cool. But then I felt convicted and came back. And I've been on fire for God ever since. I haven't looked back ever since. So God used my testimony, even though it wasn't like a horror story. It wasn't like any dramatic story. And he still spoke to those teens. And so to God be the glory through that. And okay, so we did that. What else did we do? Oh, we had a youth conference. I was just there for the panel for the youth conference. We had 2 youth conferences, one on Friday and one on Saturday. It's the same topic. It was on biblical manhood and womanhood. And at the end of the conference, we had an open panel where people could ask us questions and we could share. And so I was able to share some on there, and that was quite exciting as well. Some interesting things about my trip that I wasn't anticipating was the love. Those people are so loving in Ecuador. They will come to you and hug you, kiss your cheek every single day that they see you. Every single day they see you, it's like they haven't seen you in forever, and they hug you and greet you. I really admired that. I know that's part of the culture. But it really makes it feel at home. It really makes a difference. And I hope to continue with that. Unfortunately, I have my cold. So I wasn't really able to hug people when I came back because I didn't want to give people my cold. And I know that's the devil trying to, make me forget. I know that is part of it. I know the devil's trying to attack me. But yeah, it really makes a difference showing that love. And I noticed just showing people just a little bit of attention makes a huge difference in how they are receptive to you. And yeah. I also learned just for my own self. So these are things I took away for myself. So I learned the importance of showing love. You can forget if you are in your own bubble. I've been in school for so many years. Being in school, grad school, is a very selfish activity. Even though I'm doing it for the betterment of my family and our legacy, it's not all for me. It is still very selfish. And so it was nice to see an example of being selfless, and being reminded of the importance of it. But the other thing is your reliance on God when you're teaching, like literally when you are being put in a position where, like, I know God brought me to Ecuador. Like, I would be honest, I was fighting him. I originally did not want to go. I did not want to go, in part because I'm working on my dissertation and I was afraid I was going to have a participant during that week. And so I was concerned about that. And then also I had went on a mission trip before to Mexico, back when I was at Sam Houston, and I was sick. I got so sick. I was running to the bathroom for weeks, literally weeks after my mission trip. And after that mission trip to Mexico, I told myself, I was like, I'm just doing mission trips in countries where I know that I won't get sick. It's like, I'm not meant for being in a place where I might get sick from the food or the water. I remember telling myself that. And God was really working and wrestling with me and saying, no, Stacy, you are going. I need you to go. And when I went, I was like, yes, I know I needed to be here. Like, it was very evident when I was there that I needed to be there. And I was happy I went. Like, I miss those people. I miss that church. I am looking forward to going back. I get to go back, if God willing, next year and the year after, if God willing for me to go. But yeah, I was wrestling with him. And I remember talking to one of the guys that's like in charge of it. Yeah, he could tell I was wrestling with it too. It was definitely, yeah. And then on top of it, like, in preparation to go, like, the devil was literally trying to prevent me from going. Like, literally, like the week where we had to make the decision about going, I got sick. I had a stomach bug. And I was like, no, I'm getting a stomach bug here. I'm going to get a stomach bug when I go there then. Like it reminded me of when I went to Mexico. And I was like, no, I don't want to deal with this. Like, and then, asking people for money to go on the trip. I don't like asking for money. And then there was drama with that, which I was like, why does there need to be drama? Like, yes. Like, there was attack after attack after attack. And then on top of that, like, people were concerned for me because I know I look young. I'm actually, I'm a lot older than what I look. But a lot of people were concerned. They're like, you might get human trafficked. Somebody might steal you. And, and it's not safe over there. There's crime and all that. Like, I was getting attacked after attack. Like, people were really saying things. And I know it was the devil trying to keep me from going. I know it. He was trying his hardest. And then when I was there, he got me sick. And I was like, okay, he's trying to make me feel like, okay, I got sick here, so I shouldn't come back. But God answered my prayer. He literally answered my prayers. I prayed that I didn't get that I wouldn't get COVID, and I didn't. I prayed, that I wouldn't get sick and run to the bathroom, and I didn't. Like literally all the things I prayed for, God had His way, and He opened the doors. I had enough money. I actually had more than enough money to go, which was great. So I was able to buy a few souvenirs, and I don't know, like it was very clear that I was supposed to be there, and it was very clear that the devil didn't want me to go. And even now, he's trying to attack me and say, nope, don't go back next year. You can't go back next year. It wasn't like it's like he's trying to convince me that it wasn't a great experience. But I'm sorry, devil, you lost. I miss those people. I miss that church. And yeah, there were some things that I did not like. I didn't like the fact that I got sick. I didn't like the fact that, there were certain things that wasn't the greatest. But for the most part, overall, it was a really, really good trip. It really was. And so, sorry, devil, you lost. You lost. But anyways, one of the greatest things that I learned while I was teaching and while I was doing my testimony, whenever I would talk, and like when we did the panel and things like that, literally, God opened my eyes to what it means to depend on Him. Like literally. And it's kind of hard to explain it. Like I had one day where it was by my might, is what I would call it. By my might, I was trying to teach them. And I noticed they were more confused. Like it was harder for them to understand the concepts. It didn't flow as well. It wasn't as good of a teaching. Even though I was prepared, I was, it wasn't. So I realized it's not by my might, it's not by my power, but it is by the Spirit. Like literally, like after I realized that, I said, okay, God, yes, I need to do what I need to do to prepare for the lessons. I need to do what I need to do to prepare, so make sure that I know the information. But you have to guide me through this. You have to give me the words to say. You have to give me, you have to guide me. And it really makes a difference. Like, nothing that I did, like, I felt like it wasn't me. Like, yeah, I know that we are to prepare ourselves. And that was one thing that I talked to my team about, was this past year, there were certain things that God wanted me to study, that I was studying. Like there's a huge Catholic influence in Ecuador. I was studying Catholic stuff this past year. Why? I didn't know why. I just felt like God was leading me to study that stuff. And then I get to Ecuador. It's a high Catholic community, and people are asking about Catholicism and how to deal with Catholics and how to witness to them and stuff like that. Like, God was preparing me. Like, there were so many topics and so many questions that we covered that I was literally studying this past year. And it reminded, like, there was one topic in particular that I know God was telling me to study, but I told Him no. And that was dealing with the end times, Revelation and end times. I started studying it and I was getting overwhelmed. And so I stopped. And I regret that, because that was one of the things I had to teach, was the end times. And, so God knew beforehand what I was going to do. And I said no. Like, there's just all these little things, like, now that I look back, I see how God moved and how God was through it all, even a year prior, like literally this whole process of getting to this point. Like, God knew. He literally knew. And so I need to be more open to what God is telling me not in a spooky type of way, but like literally like, not fighting him. And then like when I am talking, if I'm talking to someone, if I'm sharing, whatever, I'm not a pastor. I'm not, I don't even hold any leadership roles in the church. I'm just a member of the church. I love God, and I do care about people, but that doesn't mean that God can't use me. And so I'm learning what that means to be used by him, and to totally surrender to him, and tell him, okay, I'm about to start this Bible study. I need you to help me. It's not by my might, it's not by my power. I need you to help me. I need you to help these women and help these kids to understand this stuff and to get this stuff. That is key. That is important. You can't do it by your own might. I'm glad I learned that. I'm glad I learned that really, really fast on this trip. Okay, well, that's pretty much what my trip was, like the spiritual stuff. There was other things, it's an interesting place. The driving is definitely different and crazy. There was a lot of cultural things that are different. Eating, you eat the food they give you. You're supposed to eat it. Clean your plate. If you ever go to Ecuador, clean your plate. Don't offend them. They're so nice, and it was just really good. So I just wanted to share that. If you are thinking about going on a mission trip, just know that the devil is going to fight you and is not going to want you to go. If God doesn't want you to go, he will close the door for you. There were other people that were planning on going on a trip, and he literally closed the door for them to the point where they couldn't go. They just couldn't go. Like one lady, her house flooded, right before we were about to leave. She couldn't leave because her house flooded, and so, and there was other people and stuff too. Now some of those people, I don't know if they decided not to go because they were wrestling like how I wrestled, and then they were like, well, I'm not going. I decided not to go because they were too overwhelmed with what the task was. I don't know, but I do know that if you say yes to God and he doesn't want you to go, he'll just find a way for you not to go. Not saying that you're going to have your house flooded, but he will close the door if you're not supposed to go. So just say yes to him, and if it's meant not to be, then it won't be, and it'll just work out the way it needs to be. So don't worry about that. All right. Well, if you've been on a mission trip, or if you have any questions about mission work, this is my third mission trip of me going somewhere. I do mission works here in Dallas. I don't know if you would call it a mission trip because it's locally, but it is evangelism. So if you have any questions regarding that type of stuff, I'll be honest, it's not as hard as people think. Sharing the good news is not hard. I think the devil really tries to scare people. It doesn't have to be complicated. It really doesn't. You just share love, literally. And there'll be opportunities, if you're ready and receptive to those opportunities to come, they'll come. And God knows your strengths and weaknesses. God knows my strengths are children. God knows that in a teaching setting is a strength for me. He'll use you with the strengths you have. Other people, they can have conversations and talk to people on the streets, and there'll be times, God will use your strengths, so you don't have to worry. And people are ready to hear it. They are. You might think they're not, but they are. There's more people ready to hear it than not. So yeah. All right, well, questions, comments, leave them down below. If this was an encouragement to you, give me a thumbs up. If you are interested in helping me on my future mission trip, so I will be going again next year, I'm going to try to set up early my funds. So if you are interested in helping pay for my trip, they do request that we have other people pay for it. So that way it's a collective effort. I don't like asking for money. but I understand the concept of it. It's so other people can be a part of God's work too. So, all right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.